everyone. Today we have Daniel Cawdery with the white pieces playing against Wang Puchen. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Who is one of New Zealand's top players, and I think when he was 17 he won the New Zealand Open Rapid tournament, and he's also just a phenomenal blitz player. And back then, Wang had the black pieces and he had a rating of 2470 and Cawdery with 2362. So Wang being the more serious player in this match and also probably going to press for a win in this game. So okay, let's get to the game, and I think it's exciting because we haven't really done a lot of Cawdery's games where he has the white pieces, and he goes 1e4. And it seems like he gets into the Sicilian a lot, either with the white or black pieces. No, sorry, he gets into the Sicilian with the white pieces and King's Indian with the black pieces. And he is probably a bit better with the black pieces, but we will see a lot of this style of play with the white pieces from Cawdery's side. After going through a lot of these games, he likes to queen side castle with the white pieces against the Sicilian and go g4. He doesn't play different types of structures, like the Maroxy bind with c4, and we get into some of this quite early on in the game. We've got knight e3, d6, and normal Sicilian d4, c takes d4, and queen takes d4. We'll move knight c6 and bishop b5. After bishop d7, he has got the opportunity to go queen d3, maybe immediately, maybe even queen e3, but he decides to go for bishop takes c6. After something like queen d3, we could already see the Maroxy bind, but this isn't Cawdery's style. He doesn't play the c4 story a lot. So we see bishop takes c6, bishop takes. Pawn takes is also possible. Nothing wrong with pawn takes. It's got a different pawn structure and you're not putting the bishop on the diagonal, so you might have a specific idea when going for this. But okay, matter of taste, I believe. And the pawns there, you get c5 as well. So we've got knight c3 by Cawdery, not c4, knight f6, knight c3. Not something within the Maroxy bind setup. Rather, we have knight c3 immediately in front of that pawn, knight f6, and bishop g5. And now already we see this move bishop g5, which was played against Cawdery, I think, a while ago. Or in these situations, we also analyzed what this bishop g5 does, because after something like h6, it seems like white is really just doing better, because no matter how you're capturing this pawn, this side just seems a lot weaker because of your weak d pawn, and the other way around, it also just seems like you're not going to achieve something because of the possibility that white's just going to castle queen side. Okay, so after bishop g5, it kind of forces e6, and now we have a situation where Cawdery can castle either queen side or king side, and obviously he goes queen side. We've seen this with white pieces a few times. We could also mention that castling king side is just a bit weaker, because after castling we can have the move bishop e7 and then rook a81. Only now you're exerting some pressure, and then the move rook fe1. It's like you're playing one tempo slower with all the lines you get into, and your king is just on this side. So yeah, we have castles queen side, which is a tempo faster, and we see the difference after bishop e7. And e6 instead of e5 was played a move ago by black. e5 is a bit too committal, I think, and white can already start pouncing on these pawns and start trading and opening the center while your king is still there. And also e6 preps d5, or prepares any pawn break necessary, keeping the options open. Bishop e7, and now the move queen d3 by Cawdery. Also a very specific move with the idea of opening this square for the knight and prepping the move f4. Another way to have played the position was just to have gone a3. Now, for some reason, my computer likes that the most. I'm not too sure why. Maybe just stopping some tempo ideas when this knight gets going from the queen. And rook h1 is also a move, probably. But I don't think any of these two seem as nice as queen d3. Maybe h4 immediately could have been tried. But who knows? Rook h1 seems a bit strange because you kind of want to keep your rook here in case you're starting pawn storm. So queen d3 with the idea of these two moves following it. And we've got queen a5 hitting that bishop. And basically forcing this knight not to move to d4 anymore where it wants to be because it needs to guard that bishop. That's what queen a5 does. Also makes room for this rook to enter, and this queen also fixes both these knights because now this pawn is also hanging and this knight can't move. And it was also possible for black after queen d3 to castle straight away, and something like knight d4 and rook c8 and f4 has been seen many times. It's perfectly fine. Queen a5, more slower positional type of move. But now I actually like Cawdery's next move, and it's very nuanced. I would have liked just going h4 here to defend the bishop and prepping knight d4, and then after h6, then maybe going bishop d2, or maybe in some cases you can capture this bishop takes and then play knight d4 in any case, but then going bishop d2 might have been something I wanted to do. Simply because after black castles, now you've got a target on h6. Cawdery omits the move h4 and goes bishop d2 immediately. And now, when black castles, he needs to waste the tempo to play h6 later on in the game to get a flight square. In a lot of these situations, you can kind of see the center opening up and some tactics happening. So he just plays bishop d2 willingly, freeing up the knight. And now, because h6 is also not on the board, bishop g5 can be played again. And this is actually a really acute move, bishop d2. And it's not the most common move in the position. h4 is preferred a bit more. So, okay, bishop d2 also kind of says, okay, what are you doing about your queen? There are some discoveries coming. Though I can quickly show you, the discoveries don't necessarily mean anything. If, say, after a move like castles and knight d4, hitting that piece, simply queen d8, and obviously the queen. That's the purpose, why you can't capture the knight. So queen d8, and in a lot of these situations, okay, you're playing with opposite side comes bishops, but black's fine, his rooks are coming in. There's not really a big threat with this bishop d2. And okay, something like this won't work because bishop takes e7 comes with a check. So I don't think you want to provoke some kind of weird discovery idea, maybe. Knight can't go to b5, it would just get captured by the queen. But playing it safe, by black, he just simply goes queen c7. And we can compare what just happened in both white and black's positions after the move queen d3. So white played queen d3, and then black played queen a5. So this bishop came back, and then the queen went back to c7, and white played knight d4. And now suddenly you can see all black has accomplished after white has played queen d3 is to have gone queen c7, while white has gotten the move from knight d4 and bishop d2, and suddenly queen c3. It's very strange. The computer still prefers black here, but I think psychologically this queen shuffle has wasted a lot of time. We need to include the move castles though to evaluate the position. So black has castled and gotten the move queen c7, while white has got this, and rightly so. After maneuvering all of these pieces, the queen and knight, Cawdery goes f4. And now I really start liking white a lot. we've got the move rook fc8 in the game, and maybe playing the other rook might have been a bit better, but that's what the computer prefers. Rook fc8 keeps this rook behind this pawn. Maybe make some breathing room for the king, which we will see in a second might be necessary after some moves on this side. Okay, so Cawdery goes ahead with his plan. He goes f5. This will be a weak diagonal once the structure opens up. And f5 also clears this square then for the knight. So we've got e5, not capturing, closing that center, and then the move knight takes c6. Also very cool, not holding onto this piece and trying to maneuver on this side. That just blocks the queen's path. Rather keeping up with tempo and moving forward, and also saying that, okay, if you only have one way to recapture the pawn, because something like queen takes c6, now I have bishop g5, and your queen is a bit out of play. You do still have this diagonal, and it's not too clear for black how it's dealing with bishop d5 immediately. Because stuff like this can be very annoying. And this position is definitely preferable for white now. So you only have one way to recapture that pawn, and that is by b takes. And this is actually quite a nice calculation, because b takes need to be played. And now, okay, d5 is a threat, but before that clears up, you can sometimes just ignore this captures and keep this file closed, while black needs to waste time to somehow exert pressure on a new file. Okay, so in the game, after b takes, we've got g4, and now knight takes g4. It's a pawn sack to open the file, and I think quite rightly so. The New Zealand player took the pawn, but I think the way he took it and then proceeded was a bit incorrect. So maybe his initial idea through taking the pawn should have been avoided, and another type of maneuver maybe, allowing g5 then, because what happened in the game was just a bit worse than what this could be. So maybe he had more hope retreating a bit earlier on and dealing with stuff like f6. I don't know. Anyways, g4 just a scary move, and it's captured. And the computer also wants to capture, and Cawdery goes hg1. And we have the move knight f6, retreating. You can't really go anywhere else. And now the move bishop to h6, hitting this pawn on g7, which is now a big weakness. And now you can pause the video, but black only has one proper defense here. You can see if you can find it. The move the New Zealand player played actually in this situation cost him the game. And it is interesting because after he took on g4, you'd expect him to calculate to this moment and find the correct move, and then accept that this would have been good enough. Okay, so the wrong move, if you've already calculated, and what was played in the game was the move knight e8. And we'll get to why this is a bit bad in a second. The correct move, which really just holds on to everything, is bishop f8. Okay, so let's get back to knight e8. Okay, so knight e8, and you can suddenly notice that this square opens up for the pawn. So Cawdery plays rook takes g7 check, and it's a piece sack temporarily, an exchange sack, and then the move rook g1. Queen g3 is about just as strong, if not stronger, and now the move bishop f6 to hold on to everything. Yeah, okay. There's another move you could play that tries something, but this seems to admit, f6 seems to admit that, okay, you're losing the knight after something like rook takes. but then maybe my king might be more safe on h8, and I might have more prospects. But this is just a weird move. I don't expect a human player to play this. Bishop f6 is fine, and we see the move queen g3 just piling up on this piece, and now you see the queen can't approach the knight. And now we get to why knight h5 is so bad, because you realize in this situation that the bishop's going to take, and there are really some nasty discoveries, and the exchange down doesn't even matter here because you're breaking through on the king's side. Pawn's coming to f6. So in the game, maybe a bit more of a tricky move than what was played. Something like king f8, which was played in the game. There's a more tricky way to play this position for black, and it's a bit absurd, but you actually do have some kind of hope after playing this move. It's still +4, but it's one of those situations where it's +4 not because of the material, but because of exact continuations that you need to find. So the move is queen b6, and then after bishop takes g7, the obvious move. Now the real crazy move, bishop h4, because now the discovery doesn't work because of the queen capture. And this bishop, you can see it's not discovering the queen or anything of black's soon. So white needs to figure this out, and so he does so, let's say through queen g2. And now suddenly you have the move queen e3 check, king b1, and queen g5, making its way back into the position. And after this trades, yes, white is now up 2 pieces, but this is a lot better than the quick game over that was that happened in the game. So maybe you had some prospects in this line, but still very, very crazy line. Although also we can look at after bishop takes, white trying to keep the discovery, let's say with something like, remember the queen needs to defend the rook as well, so you can't hold on to the third rank while guarding the rook as well. So you need to kind of go queen g2, something like queen f3 just blunders this rook away, and it's suddenly game over. And something like queen g4, you can make this situation more tricky by just deflecting the queen a bit more, and queen d1, it's still just really lost. Still get these checks maybe. Okay, but still just a fatalistic attack on the king's side. But interesting ways to try and defend and hold on. Before we go to what happened further in the game, just show why bishop f8 was a bit more resourceful than knight e8. So bishop f8, and after something like bishop takes g7 and queen g3, then you can play king f8, and after queen takes g7, king e7. And surprisingly, this is still holding for black. But in the game, the weirder maneuver was knight e8. And okay, we got to this point where maybe after queen g3, black would have tried queen b6. Just a crazy move. And so now he starts with king f8, which just kind of loses immediately. Bishop takes, queen takes, king e7, and now we can compare king e8 is about just as bad because of the move f6, and your king won't escape like this because of this pawn as well. So let's just get back to king e7, and Cawdery played f6 check, king here, and now he played queen takes h7. It's just a really strong move, and trying to capture this pawn doesn't work because of rook f1 check, and you're basically getting through to this pawn, queen f5, king e7, queen takes f7, and now you're getting mated in 3. You can go queen g8, king here, and queen g7 check, and now either way the rook's coming up. Okay, well, this is the power of queen takes h7. So in the game we've got the move d5, and now we've got the move e takes d5 by Daniel. Just still a very good move. Maybe, maybe I was thinking there's a situation where you can play, wait, no, I lost that knight, but don't worry. Okay, so d5, after e takes d5, if check, we've got c takes d5, and now queen h3 check. Still bearing these same ideas in mind with the knight, and now the king goes to d6, and we've got the fork on knight b5 check, mate. So this is the idea behind recapturing the pawn and going queen h3, which is also a very solid idea because there's no other escape for the white king out the black king on this side because of this fork coming. And okay, so in the game after king e8, Cawdery just played f6 to renew these threats after king here, and d5 was played. Now he went e takes d5. Also possible was this cool maneuver, queen g8 check, and after king d7, queen takes f7 check, king d6, and now the stunning move, knight b5 check. And after knight b5 check, there's a fork, so moving the king just loses the queen, and capturing the knight leads to mate in 1. This wasn't played though in the game. After king c7, we saw the move. We saw the move e takes d5 first, not queen g8 check, and after the move queen d6 to force some shelter, to make some shelter, we got knight e4, and the queen going back. And now the conversion is quite sweet. It's queen takes h7, king d7, rook g8 was the threat, and final move of the game, rook g7. And it was in this position that Wang Puchen resigned, and quite rightly so, because the 7th is just falling, your queen's going to fall, and there should be a mate nearby. And it's not one of those situations where these rooks are good either. The knight is still on the board, and definitely a mate here. So let's just show how things could continue. C takes d5, rook takes f7 check. The king could try and be tricky, but then after you take the queen, and you need to recapture that material, you can simply just move the knight away, and this should just be easy for Daniel. It's basically 2 pieces, maybe 3, so 1 or 2 more moves, check, and there's no need really to go any further. More than enough pawns as well. So yeah, just a really great game, and especially the small ones of going bishop d2 first, I enjoyed because of some situations or the way the game might have gone. Not that in this case it really made a big difference. Maybe then g4 wouldn't have been met with as much seriousness if this pawn had been there. But then again, there would be different threats. And also, just showing this maneuver and the cuteness of it. It's a shame it wasn't defended correctly, the position. But knight e8 just feels like a good move, and now it's clear why it wasn't. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the game, and yeah, thanks.